The Ford Mustang has been in production for 55 years, over 6 generations. It is what I would consider to be the most iconic American car, and it might just be one of the most iconic cars, period. That's why they don't even put Ford badges on this vehicle, because you know what it is. It's a Mustang. But I have never driven one. In that entire 55-year production run, I've never gotten behind the wheel of one, until this week. Our spotlight is on this 2020 Ford Mustang GT Premium Convertible. Now we're going to be looking at this car from a first-time driver's perspective, something that you probably won't find too often online because people will just tell you that they've driven them or make it seem like they have, and nobody's really willing to admit when it's the first time they're doing something, especially in my line of work. But I am. And I will. We're going to be going over what you need to know if you're in the market for this type of convertible, or just in general, you like the Mustang, and everything else about it, but from the first-time driver's experience. So if you are thinking about getting your feet wet and understanding a little bit more about the Mustang, this is the video for you. Now, this 6th generation is the first time the Mustang has used a fully independent rear suspension, which is a big plus. If you've driven any previous Mustang before, you'll notice that they don't handle super well. But when it came to this 6th generation, which started in 2015, the handling got a whole lot better. And this might surprise a lot of people, but the last convertible I drove along the same lines of this in terms of performance, not so much cost, but road feel, was the 2020 BMW M4. This is really close to that. But unlike that 2020 M4 convertible that we featured, the price on this one is quite a bit better. MSRP for the GT Premium here in Canada is $53,805. We have quite a few options on here to bring the price up to $64,055 Canadian. There are a number of options. I'm not going to go over every single thing. You can customize your Mustang with quite a lot of options, but I'd say the most important option on this one is the active valve performance exhaust system. It sounds insane. If you're looking for a proper performance coupe or convertible, you need to have that option. It makes this car sound like the devil itself. It's phenomenal. Now, this uses a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine producing 460 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's nowhere near the performance of the Dodge Challenger Demon, but you could go with the Shelby Cobra if you wanted to and get even more performance. But that's one of the things about the Mustang. That's why it's been so popular and really is the iconic American car, because it can do essentially whatever you want it to do. You have the EcoBoost 2.3-liter option. If you just want a cruising car and you're not too worried about performance, you just want something to take around on the weekend, maybe have the convertible and enjoy it without having to spend too much on gas. Then you've got this GT with the 5-liter V8 that produces a lot of power and is a hell of a lot of fun both on the track and on the road. And then if you wanted to, you could go up to that Shelby and have an actual race car with a license plate on it. Which is why I'm so excited to be driving this, because there are so many options that you can configure it exactly the way that you want. And I'd say that this is pretty well equipped for what most people are going to be looking at if they want the true Mustang experience. But the truth is, I could spend a lot of time talking about this car without actually getting behind the wheel. And you probably came to this video to actually see it on the road. So let's jump behind the wheel and go over everything else you need to know about the 2020 Ford Mustang GT. You know, I'm a bit of a mind reader. I already know that there are tons of comments complaining, oh, it's the automatic, oh, why would you get the automatic? Yeah. Guess what? I don't care. First of all, it's not my car, so I didn't configure it. And second of all, I would buy it with the automatic, so what can you do? You can get the 6-speed manual with this, which is great for people who want a manual. The 10-speed automatic is fine. It's not great. It does shift kind of slowly, especially if you're in manual mode. If I go into it now, you know, sometimes it takes a second or two. If you leave it in automatic completely, even in sport mode, sometimes it gets lost. It's not quite sure where it's supposed to be. It'll shift into one gear and then almost immediately shift again to get into the right gear, the one it was supposed to be in to begin with. The thing is, if you go up to the Shelby, then you get the 7-speed dual clutch. That's the best option, and I would love to be able to drive that one. But if you're looking for a day-to-day commuter car, you want something that's fun and enjoyable, and you don't necessarily want to have to shift all the time, then go for the automatic. One thing to note though, if you do go with the automatic, you can't use the gear shifter to change gears. It's only on the flappy paddles. That might be a problem for some, depending on how you're driving. Keep that in mind. But I gotta say that this has been a really great week with this car. The active performance exhaust, oh boy, that's the one to get. I've actually enjoyed this more than I did when I had the Jeep Trackhawk. While the Trackhawk had a bigger engine, more power, and I guess a louder exhaust, I didn't have as much enjoyment as I am with the Mustang, and I think partially because, yeah, I like driving a car better, so this just feels a little bit better on the road. But that exhaust note sounds really good, even though it's a smaller engine, and yeah, it's a straight up V8. I mean, there's nothing special about it. It just sounds so good. So if you're getting the V8, definitely get the exhaust. Now, one option with this car, if you are driving it on the track, you want to warm it up first. There's a line lock. You go into the pony button, the Mustang button on the steering wheel, you hold to initiate the line lock, it goes into the settings there, and then it lets you do it. Now, I don't want to burn out the tires on this car because it's not mine, but the option is there. It makes things a lot easier if you are taking it onto the track to be able to have some fun with it. Ooh, and it smells too. But I want to give you an idea of how this car performs, even though we really aren't able to go full out with it. 100, holy man. And that thing started to go a little bit right at the end there. Problem is, yeah, the tires aren't fully warmed up. That's the whole reason the line lock exists. But then also, it's, you know, fall, there's crap on the road, there's leaves that don't really help with traction. But this car is fast and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Oh boy, I mean, when you're building a car like this, you want to be able to do everything with it, and that's what Ford has done. As I said, you've got the convertible, you have the coupe, you can go with the EcoBoost engine or this V8, you have the exhaust. There's so much that you can do to configure it the way that you want it to, and it really is a multi-purpose tool, because I've been using this all week as a family hauler, even with the roof down. My daughter has enjoyed getting picked up from school in a very loud Mustang with no roof. I can do grocery run with it, I can put my family in here and have fun, and if I really wanted to, I could put it into normal mode and save a little bit when it comes to the fuel economy, but why? Why would I waste my time when I have this car to drive it normally? You want to drive it quick, and it's so good. I did mention outside that this is kind of close in terms to the ride and handling of the BMW M4. I know that that is crazy for me to say that, but I'm telling you, there is a difference, but it is really good, and especially when you compare that this is $65,000 the way that it's configured, and the M4 that we featured was a whole lot more. You do get a lot of car for this price. And we are getting to the point where finding a big V8 engine like this is going to be rare. I think the day that the Ford Mustang no longer offers a V8 will be the day that the Ford Mustang can go out to pasture, because this car demands an engine like this. That's why I'm very happy that we've got this one. And then I know people will say you need to have the manual, but go and get the manual. Go buy one. This one's got the automatic, and it's fine. I mean, it's hard not to love that exhaust. Oh boy, it just sounds so good. Oh, it's like lightning, thunder, explosions, everything that you want in like a Michael Bay movie coming out of the back of a Ford Mustang. Oh, it's good. So you can see there, maybe a little bit, wasn't quite in the right gear. I've got it in automatic mode, but it is in sport mode, and yeah, I went into the wrong gear. So you'll notice that, but it depends on what you're doing with the car. Like I said, for the best bang for your buck, if you're going for a proper performance monster, then the Shelby's the way to go. Either get the GT350 or go all out and spend $100,000 base plus a ton in options up to $140,000 to get the GT500. But if you're going for a good daily driver that you want to have some fun with, take it to the track on the weekend, then this is the way to go, and go with the transmission that you ultimately need. But I don't hate it. I don't hate the automatic, that's for sure. Like I say, it's just a little slow, and we find that now. You know, I wish the dual clutches were on all the cars, but that's why they make you go up. There's a reason they want you. I mean, obviously there's more than just the reason to have a dual clutch to go up to the Shelby, but that's one of the reasons. They really want you to spend more, get the special edition. As almost every Mustang sold is a special edition of some sort. They make so many special editions that in any given year you could do videos just on all the special editions available on the Mustang. I know for a lot of people who live in Canada or the US, to hear that, you know, somebody hasn't driven a Mustang before might be a bit of a shocker. Not so much to those of you who are watching in Europe, where you can finally get this generation with the V8 in right-hand drive. If you're in, say, the UK, you can get essentially the same vehicle that we get here in Europe. But for me, as a first-time Mustang driver, I have to say that I am not disappointed in the slightest. This car is so much fun, and unlike the Trackhawk that really lost its novelty after the first day, this has not. I have been enjoying this every single time I go out, and I have been looking for excuses to get behind the wheel and take this on the road, just because there is so much fun to be had with it. It's such a great looking car. I've got the convertible, the performance and exhaust is all there. Essentially what I want in a performance vehicle has been ticked off when it comes to the Ford Mustang. And that's the reason why Ford has continued to sell this vehicle for 55 years and why they are so popular. This is such a great car, and it lives up to everything that I wanted it to do. There's no disappointments going on here. First time Mustang driver, and far to be the last time. I can definitely see myself owning one of these. Gotta get it in blue though. It's the right color to get, maybe with a black stripe and as a Shelby.